Hi everyone, hope you are all well. Today I thought of clarifying six most commonly confused data architecture terms. Those are enterprise data warehouse, data lake house, and I promise I will complete this tutorial within 5 minutes. So let's see if I can finish that within 5 minutes. So, yeah. So these are the six most commonly used terms in your data architecture project, in your data engineering project. And these are very confusing. I also understand that. So today I will try to clarify all of these terms and what are the differences between each of these conventions. So first I will start with enterprise data warehouse, that is EDW. So, briefly, we all know enterprise data warehouse is actually older than all of these other terminologies. It is about, like, I mean, here you have the source system, which are OLTP or flat files or applications. Okay. And there are basically these are transactional systems, files, etc. So, you can't do your analytical queries in the same server because you need to run what I can say columnar operations, huge analytical queries involving lot of window functions. So you need to refine this OLTP source data, right? And you need to have it under enterprise data warehouse, where it will be a dimensionally modeled, right? Where you have basically facts, dimensions, etc. And it will be modeled in a way so that your analytical queries or your business intelligence reports are faster. Okay, so these are transactional systems, these are ACID compliant, your transactions are happening here. It is very fast for insert, update and delete, but it is not very good for writing select queries which will involve lot of joins, filters, window functions and all of those things. So that is the reason we refine this data with ELT and ETL and load it to data warehouse or enterprise data warehouse. Uh, we put the business logic, we put the filtration logic, all other processing logic, cleansing logic here, and we have this clean data and aggregated data in the enterprise data warehouse, which actually is basically fed to your BI engine, data science team, and all other things, right? So this concept was very old, right? So we don't have any what I can say confusion here. Now now coming to data lake. Now, what is the problem with this enterprise data warehouse is that you are putting your ETL and ELT logic, that is your business logic, transformation logic, before loading to enterprise data warehouse. Or sometimes maybe you are using ELT where you load some data, then do the transformation. Then again, in your data warehouse, multiple teams does multiple other transformation, something like that. But majorly here, the your business needs, your BI report needs has to be very clear, okay, from the beginning. And here majorly we deal with the structured data and sometimes little semi-structured data, but not totally completely unstructured data. So here the business logic was clear from the beginning. That is the reason we could do this step, right? And yeah. So this is the drawback or benefit both for enterprise data warehouse, because enterprise, the benefit is enterprise data warehouse, you have clean, transformed, aggregated data which is readily available for your BI reports to consume. But what if you have an agile need? You don't know all the business requirements from the beginning. Then what? And you don't have all the transformation logic also in the beginning. Maybe your transformation logic needs many other lookup table, many other, it is dependent on many other system which will come later, but you at least have to get the data and store it in a centralized repository so that multiple other teams can start on working there, right? And here it is also like, the majorly we will follow this ELT process where we will extract data from multiple places. That data can be structured, semi-structured, unstructured. Majority of the times, if it is semi-structured and unstructured, we go for data lake module, where we do either we do some transformation and load it to data lake, otherwise we do as is, that also we can do. And the business teams or the multiple domain teams, your ML teams does uh, queries your data from the centralized repository, and they do the transformation as per their domain need, right? Okay. So here, even not only your database, even object storage, file system, S3, right, the GCS objects, anything can be your data lake object. And we also support this federated queries, like, AWS supports this, GCP's BigQuery supports this, where you don't have the data inside in a relational table. You have just have the schema created, and actually when you are querying, it is going and querying from the object storage itself. So data lake is more flexible in that time, right? And it has it supports agile needs basically. But there is also a risk that if you keep on dumping data from any sources, you don't have any idea how it will be cleansed, transformed, processed, or you don't have any idea how the other teams, right, your consumers will be consuming them, then there is a high chance it can get into a data swarm, okay, a data, what I can say, garbage heap kind of a thing. If you keep on dumping data as is in a raw format, right? Later it can happen that you are not able to create any meaning or insights out of it. So here there are both, like, you it has some advantages. It is very fast. You don't you can it is supporting agile needs. You can start extracting and dumping your like, getting your data in a centralized repository. Your other consumers can start working on those things, but there is a risk of, like, there is a risk that it can get into a data swamp and meaningless if you are like, not doing proper sanitization, right? Now coming to data lakehouse. Now, if we have data lake, what is the point of data lakehouse? Data lakehouse is nothing but basically enterprise data, where it is actually combining based of both worlds here. It is combining the concept of the structural and transformation concept of data warehouse, and also the agile and unstructured concept of data lake. It is combining both. So basically here the convention is, whatever for whichever sources you have knowledge of the like transformation logic, business logic, whatever consumer needs, you process, cleans, filter, aggregate those data and load it in a proper structured model, okay, schema on, right? And whatever data domains you don't have idea, you can dump it as is, or like, little you can dump it using this ELT convention. You can do some sort of a transformation and then dump it, and then your consumers will be taking care of the rest. So it is actually it is actually having best of both worlds, right? Now, what is this in all of this EDW, data lake and data lake house, we are agreeing to a point that data from multiple sources will be coming in a centralized repository. That will be our like, either data lake or data warehouse or data lake house, basically a database kind of a thing, or a object storage kind of a thing, uh, or no SQL database kind of a thing, but a centralized place from where multiple consumers will consuming that. So basically here, from multiple sources, data is coming to a central location. So that is a key point here. So we talk about data migration also here. Okay, data migration, but not a lift and shift, like, sometimes lift and shift, sometimes, like, with processing. Now coming to Data Vault. Now Data Vault is a modeling strategy. Data Vault is a data modeling strategy. Okay. So there we, so when you are talking about Data Vault, it is not basically you are talking about either BigQuery, Redshift, Oracle, Teradata, anything. This is a modeling strategy, can be applied anywhere. What we do is we create the single source of truth for any dimension, any fact over there, and also support our agile need. How we do that? So we segregate the key column from the non-key column. With the key columns, we create the hub. With the non-key columns, we create the satellites, and one satellite and one hub can have multiple satellite across multiple domains. So if you have a product hub will contain the product key, the hash key, that is a hub key, the dates, the source system, and it can have multiple products. So product across asset management, product across supply chain management. So this particular product satellites can have multiple attributes. So here why it is agile, if next day some other domain comes up, your business is growing in some other sector, then you don't have to alter any of the satellite. You can just add up a new satellite, or you can take the decision, if it is very less, you can whether you can accommodate that in a particular satellite or not. It has a concept of link. Two hubs can be connected via a link. Link is basically resolving this many to many relationship in a relational model. The similar concept applies here also. So data vault modeling is a is a huge concept. I have other tutorials, YouTube tutorials, Udemy tutorial for the same, but I just thought of giving a brief that here we are not talking about any central repository. Of course, the data vault modeling strategy will be implemented in a repository in your data warehouse or your data lake or data lake house, but it is a modeling strategy. Now coming to this data fabric and data mesh. These are relatively new concepts. Now, what is data fabric? It is more technology specific compared to data mesh. Here we talk about again it is technology oriented, uh, tech oriented. Okay. It talks about centralized repository again, centralized data, centralized unified view basically. But here the concept is it talks about an unified model, but the difference between this and this EDW data lake and just a second, EDW data lake and data lake house is in data fabric you don't need to have all your data from all of your source system in a single or in a centralized repository or a database. So basically, here we don't, here the data migration is not necessary. So even if you have some data in your Oracle, some data in your Snowflake, some data in your some application, some data in flat file, some data in your GraphQL, some data is exposed via REST API, you can club everything and create a virtualization layer which will give you an unified view of multiple sources. So here we don't talk about the data migration. It is a which is a view, unified centralized view. And he talks about centralized governance, right? So here you might have seen we use this Denodo, TIBCO, Informatica data virtualization strategies for the same. We can also architect that virtualization strategy. It is possible in the GCP, it is possible in AWS. They have this connectors which can at a time connect to multiple sources and get the data and create a unified virtualized layer. So basically here data migration is not necessary, right? And also it can connect to both. So OLTP plus OLAP, it can connect. Uh, here when we talk about EDW, data lake, right? A data lake house, we majorly talk, we talk about the historical data, OLAP. right? So basically, we have OLTP, and from there we take that data into our centralized data lake or data lakehouse or EDW. That is talking about OLAP only. But here we can also combine OLAP plus OLTP. So some data can be coming from your transactional system, some data OLAP system, and also it is some data can come from REST API, some data can come from GovQL, whatever you can imagine of, right? And they don't need to reside in same place. We don't stage it somewhere, we don't get it into a centralized database, right? We can create this data sources, connectors, architect in a way so that we get the views of this all of this data. So basically, here you can join one Oracle table with another REST API and another Redshift table. That is very much possible without getting this Oracle table data, REST API data, Redshift data into a single database. Okay. Uh, so this is data fabric, and but data fabric also talks about centralized governance, centralized picture, what I can say, centralized truth, basically, right? And now coming to data mesh. So it is more concept oriented rather than technology oriented. Here the concept is that the consumers, your domain teams are more knowledgeable people. They know better how to transform data, how to put governance, how to put compliance, how to do everything, basically. So it talks about you don't need to do all of these stuffs for them. Rather, these domain specific teams can do it for themselves. So in data mesh, it is more, so we consider data as a product here. Okay. And here, multiple version, one particular table, uh, one particular business object, I can say, object, or for your clarification, table can be modeled in different way in different domain. Okay, that is very much possible. Now you can have some data mesh on top of data fabric also. You can have data mesh on top of EDW also. Why? Because it is not saying that you have to do a data virtualization layer, or you have to get the data in a centralized database, or a centralized data warehouse, right? It is uh, it is not mandating anything. You can have a virtualized layer, okay, like a data fabric, and on top of that you can have data mesh, or you can have everything in one place, in one repository, and you can have data mesh. So data mesh is more concept oriented rather than technology oriented. Okay, now I will give you an example, like, how what I said, like, that same table can be modeled in different ways in different domains. So basically, there is a common example for product table. In a marketing domain, you have to analyze the product table to understand which product is actually pulling more customer, giving you more revenue. So basically, an analytical purpose. So you can have this product dimension modeled like this, having this attributes in your product table. And similar way, you can have a different version of product table, different model of product table in your supply chain management, because there it is more of managing the inventory, because operational transactional system you have to have for this product. So basically, it can very well have it in this way. But here also, some sort of in an industry, some sort of metadata management is required, and then some sort of centralized governance is required. Like you see, here also we have a product ID, here also we have a product ID. Maybe one particular centralized governance policy will be developed on top of these two, which will have a join of both of this, and will track how this product ID is performing in supply chain management, what is happening in marketing domains. But that is a different conversation. Every time you have domain specific decentralized architecture in industry, it is needed that some sort of centralized policy is also needed, so that you can actually backtrack things. But here, when it starts, here the main point is satisfying the data as a product, so that the domain teams get full flexibility of modeling the data according to their needs. Now I will give you some pointers for data fabric and data mesh. As I said, it is technology oriented, it is more culture oriented, or process focused, right? Then in data fabric we have centralized ownership. In data mesh we have decentralized ownership. But in data fabric we have centralized governance model ownership, but we don't mandate that the data has to reside from multiple source system to a single place. It can very well reside in different source system, and we can have a centralized, unified, virtualized view in our data fabric, which is different from our concept of EDW, data lake and data lake house. There we have to get the data, migrate the data to a single place. Okay, that's why this ETL and ELT is needed there. Okay, here data fabric, it is unified, integrated, and data mesh, it is distributed, domain specific. Then governance model, again, it is centralized governance model in data fabric. We have more control over governance, but in data mesh, it is federated model. Federated means multiple domain teams are doing their own things, right? They are doing their own governance policies, own everything. So basically, but still, in if you are working in financial domain, banking domain, there will be another governance body which will be actually taking care of having some sort of standard control in different domains. These are pretty much same. Yeah. So basically, implementation, when to use what. So basically, when you know in integrating platforms and tools, and you know your your domain team needs, domain specific needs, it's one central team, right? You have it's not a problem to communicate between multiple domain teams, then you can go for data fabric architecture. But when it's a very large organization, different domain teams are sitting across different verticals, different regions, different zones, and they work in silos. They don't have much need to work together. Then we can go for this data mesh architecture. But we have to take that call very thoughtfully and judiciously. And most of the time, it is a mix of both. Hope I could make you understand some concept from here. So if you like my video, please like, subscribe, and share my video, and comment if you want more such data architecture or data modeling tutorials. Thank you.